On August 20th, 2025, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed unveiled his fourth book, The Metamer State. He sat before Ethiopian media as a philosopher-statesman, speaking of harmony, synergy, and national renewal. Days earlier, he toured Arba Minch and Walaita Soto, observing industrial projects. In Hawassa, he walked through a solar panel facility, smiling for cameras, presenting Ethiopia as a country of modern innovation and green energy. But Ethiopia's reality tells a darker story. Inflation is rising. The country is still haunted by famine warnings. Tigray is unsettled. Amhara militias defy federal authority. Oromia seethes with unrest. The contradiction is glaring. Abiy Ahmed writes as if Ethiopia is on the brink of a renaissance, but Ethiopia feels closer to the brink of collapse. The question is this: is the Metamer state truly Ethiopia's future, or the last bluff of a leader whose grip on power weakens by the day? When Abiy Ahmed came to power in 2018, he was hailed as a reformer. He freed political prisoners, made peace with Eritrea, and even won the Nobel Peace Prize. From the very beginning, he was not just a politician, he was a storyteller. His first book, Metamer, introduced his philosophy of synergy, combining efforts, overcoming divisions, creating unity. His second and third books expanded the idea, applying it to politics, economics, and culture. And now in 2025, his fourth book, The Metamer State, tries to transform this philosophy into an institutional framework. Abiy wants to be remembered not only as Ethiopia's prime minister, but as its thinker, a leader with a doctrine, a man whose writings outlive his rule. But here's the problem. Philosophies live or die not in books, but in practice. And Ethiopia in practice looks nothing like Abiy's vision. Let's pull back the curtain. What does Ethiopia look like today as Abiy publishes The Metamer State? Tigray. The war that supposedly ended in 2022 never truly ended. The Pretoria Agreement remains fragile. Eritrean troops never fully withdrew. The TPLF is resurgent, rearming, regaining ground. Thousands are displaced again, and aid agencies warn of hunger returning. Amhara. Once an ally of Abiy's government, the Amhara region has turned restless. The Fano militia is growing bolder, defying federal orders, clashing with government forces. Addis Ababa has responded with states of emergency and military crackdowns, but the resentment remains. Oromia. This is Abiy's home turf, the region he comes from. Yet even here his control is shaky. The Oromo Liberation Army continues to fight, carrying out ambushes and attacks. Many Oromos accuse Abiy of betraying their cause, serving the center rather than his people. The economy. Inflation eats away at salaries. Ethiopia's currency, the birr, weakens. Debt levels rise. Foreign investors hesitate. The government promotes industrial parks and solar factories. But factories don't feed people. And millions of Ethiopians are struggling to buy bread. This is Ethiopia's reality. Not the synergy of Metamer, but the disunity of conflict. Not inclusion, but fragmentation. Not stability, but fragility. Why does Abiy write books in the middle of crisis? Why does he walk through solar panel factories while wars simmer? Because narrative is power. When a leader cannot fully control the battlefield, he tries to control the story. Abiy projects himself as a builder, a visionary, a philosopher. He wants Ethiopians and the world want to see progress, not collapse. But Ethiopians are not blind. They see the contradiction. They see the leader in a factory while soldiers die in Amhara. They see the leader writing about unity while Oromia burns. And this dissonance is dangerous. Ethiopia's political history is unforgiving. Leaders who project strength while reality shows weakness do not last. Haile Selassie toppled in 1974. Mengistu ousted in 1991. Even Meles Zenawi, though he ruled firmly, left behind resentment and unfinished divisions. Abiy risks the same fate. The more he writes, the more he speaks of vision, the more people measure his words against their own daily suffering. And when words no longer match reality, words lose power. Let's break down the regional threats. In Tigray, the TPLF has experience, structure, and support from a population traumatized by war. Any spark could reignite a full insurgency. If Eritrea intervenes again, the war could escalate beyond Ethiopia's borders. In Amhara, the Fano militia already acts like a parallel power. For now, they fight federal troops sporadically. But if they decide to march on Addis or align with Tigrayan forces, Abiy could face a two-front crisis. In Oromia, unrest is more diffuse. The Oromo Liberation Army lacks the scale of Tigray's forces, but bleeds the government through constant guerrilla attacks. The fact that Abiy himself is Oromo doesn't save him. In fact, it fuels accusations of betrayal. Each of these flashpoints could topple the government if momentum shifts. Together, they paint a picture of a prime minister sitting on quicksand, holding up a book as proof of stability. To understand Abiy, look at Africa's history. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana wrote books, preached Pan-Africanism, and dreamed of unity. But when Ghana's economy collapsed, his people turned against him. He ended his days in exile, remembered for vision, but also for failure. Meles Zenawi, Ethiopia's strongman before Abiy, also mixed ideology with governance. He was hailed as a technocrat, a modernizer, but he ruled through control, silencing dissent. His system cracked after his death, leaving Abiy to inherit instability. Abiy wants to be both Nkrumah and Meles, the visionary and the builder, but he risks their downfall. History doesn't reward leaders who write manifestos while their countries fall apart. Philosophy cannot stop a militia. Books cannot silence bullets. Ethiopia matters beyond its borders. It is Africa's second most populous nation. It sits at the gateway to the Red Sea. The Red Sea corridor carries 12% of global trade. Ethiopia's tensions with Eritrea over sea access could spill into a regional war. Somalia battles al-Shabaab. Instability in Ethiopia weakens the fight against terrorism. The Gulf states, China, and the U.S. all invest in the region. They want Ethiopia stable. But investors see risk, not reward, in a government that cannot guarantee unity. Abiy may write of Ethiopia rising, but the world sees Ethiopia trembling. So here we are. On August 20th, Abiy Ahmed unveiled the Metamer State. He spoke of synergy, ownership, and Ethiopia's future. But Ethiopia is not unified. Ethiopia is restless. Ethiopia is in pain. The contrast between words and reality grows every day. And the longer this gap widens, the greater the risk that Abiy Ahmed is toppled. Not remembered as Ethiopia's philosopher king, but as the man who wrote too many books while the nation slipped from his hands. Abiy writes, Ethiopia bleeds. Abiy tours factories. Ethiopia fragments. Abiy dreams of Metamer. Ethiopia fears collapse.
ተፈጥሮን ማንበብ ተፈጥሮን መገንዘብ ከተፈጥሮ ጋር በሰላም አብሮ መኖር ያለውን ፋይዳ በዝርዝር የመደመር ትውልድ ያነሳል። ብዙ ጊዜ መንግስታት ያልደፈሩት እና የመደመር ትውልድ ደፍሮ ካነሳቸው ሐሳቦች አንዱ የመካከለኛው ምስራቅና የቀይ ባህር ጉዳይ ነው። የቀይ ባህር ጉዳይ ሰዎች አሁን ሰሞኑ የተነሳ ጉዳይ አድርገው ያነሳሉ። ትውልድ ላይ ግን ያው ራሱን የቻለ በዝርዝር የተቀመጠ ሐሳብ ነው። አስፈላጊነቱ ከቀይ ባህር ተሻግሮ ያሉ ወንድምና እህቶቻችን ጋር ስለሚኖረው ዝምድናም እንደዚሁ በዝርዝር ያነሳል። በድምሩ የበለጸገች ኢትዮጵያን ለመገንባት ከትውልዱ ምን ይጠበቃል? ምን የቤት ስራ አለበት? ምን ቢከውን ነው የበለጸገች የተሻለች የላቀች ኢትዮጵያን መፍጠር የሚችለው የሚለውን ሐሳብ የመደመር ትውልድ በዝርዝር ይዳስሳል።